Another reason is that Kennedy crossed the Jesuit orders Federal Reserve Bank. Of course, the Federal Reserve Bank, the Class A stockholders like Citibank and J.P. Morgan, Chase Manhattan were all run by Knights of Malta, Martin of Shea, and others. So Kennedy printed $4.3 billion in United States notes, outraging the Knights because he didn't use Federal Reserve notes that are collect interest from who passed them around. Kennedy also wanted to, in the stopping of the Vietnam War, that would have cut the partnership between the CIA and the Mafia in their drug trade to bring out their drugs out of the Golden Triangle. And remember that the Mafia and the OSS had a relationship throughout World War II in Operation Underworld, whereby Spellman used the Mafia Dons of New York, particularly Luciano, to supposedly secure the invasion of Sicily. So we've had an ongoing relationship between the CIA and the Mafia, and Albert Vincent Peroni was CIA, he was Army Intel, and he was part of the Gambino family. And I still maintain that Carlo Gambino was a high-level Knight of Malta, along with John McCone at the time of the Kennedy assassination. So we have high-level Knights involved in the Mafia, the CIA, and if the Vietnam War would have ended, the drug trade as we know it today, this tremendously lucrative drug trade for the papacy while destroying the major cities of the United States would have ended.
So the Vatican, through the Jesuits, were actually benefiting from that drug trade from Southeast Asia?
Absolutely. And it's their drug trade. They ran the whole all the opium wars in the 19th century using the British, because remember the British century was that century by which they used the British to overthrow the Manchu dynasty and a series of other things. And that drug trade, that opium trade, was completely in the hands of the Black Pope through the English branch of the Knights of Malta and high-level Freemasonry.
So you've got John F. Kennedy then, who was looking to put a stop to the war in Vietnam and the drug trade running from that part of the world, prevent Israel from acquiring nuclear weapons, and severing America's relationship with the federal, or dependence on the Federal Reserve Bank.
That's right. The other thing was he wanted to cut the tax breaks for the big oilmen. So that brings in Murchison and Hunt. He was going to get rid of those tax breaks. And I maintained that those Texas oilmen, those billionaires, were also connected to the Vatican by knighthoods. And so therefore, because the Vatican runs the whole oil industry, George Herbert Walker Bush is probably one of the most powerful Knights of Malta in the world. He is a kingpin in the Pope's international oil bonanza. Of course, the papacy set up Saudi Arabia in 1932 with King Ibn Saud using Benito Mussolini, whose advisor was Pietro Tacci Venturi, the secretary of the Society of Jesus. So the Jesuits control not only the drug trade, they control the international oil market. And Kennedy wanted to cut that.
George H.W. Bush is a Knight of Malta?
That's right, and so was his brother, Prescott Bush Jr., and so was his father, Prescott Bush Sr., and Prescott Bush Sr. was a partner with one of Germany's most powerful Knights of Malta and fanatical Roman Catholics, Fritz Thyssen. Fritz Thyssen purchased the Brown House for Adolf Hitler. Without Fritz Thyssen, there is no Adolf Hitler. Without Franz von Papen, that Knight of Malta, there is no Adolf Hitler. And Michael Cardinal von Faulhaber, who was the Archbishop of Munich, was also a Knight of Malta. And without Faulhaber, there is no Hitler.
Now, I'm going to ask a question that may be rather naive and may demonstrate a real lack of understanding of the way this thing works. But don't you have to be Roman Catholic to be a Knight of Malta?
No. Henry Luce was a Presbyterian. He was a Knight of Malta. He was a most notorious Knight of Malta, right across the street from St. Patrick's Cathedral, where he was residing in Rockefeller Center, and Luce controlled the press. You don't have to be Catholic to be a Knight of Malta. There are those knights who are ancient nobility Catholics, like J. Peter Grace and Andrew Bertie and others, but they do admit others into the order who are not Catholic. They've admitted certain Jews into the order, one of them being Major Lewis M. Bloomfield, who Jim Garrison wanted to investigate, question, but he was not allowed to.